Hey gang, using the promo code MTGMudsta, one word, all caps, will get you 10% off orders of $10 or more at Flipside Gaming, Original Magic Art, and orders of singles at Multizone. If they don't have what you're looking for, you could check out TCG Player and use my affiliate link to help support the channel. Looking for a way to bling out your deck and not spend a fortune? Alter Sleaze can help with that, and you can help with the channel at the same time by using my affiliate link. Or, if you're looking to join the Goblin Gang, you can always support me through Patreon. Today's game features some of the Jersey Boys, with Trevor bringing back his Vial Smasher and Ikra deck. His opening hand has a Reiterate, Savage Lands, Balaged Recovery, Valakut Awakening, Rites of Flourishing, and Overgrown Tomb. I am rocking Krenko, keeping 3 Snow-Covered Mountains, Goblin Piledriver, Impact Tremors, Krenko's Command, and Coat of Arms. Harry is playing Phage, keeping a Swamp, Sudden Death, Myojin of Night's Reach, Reliquary Tower, Sign in Blood, an Invocation Slaughter Pact, and an Imp's Mischief. Frank is back, bringing his Kozilek deck, and he keeps a Dust Bowl, a Mikokoro, a Tower of the Magistrate, Doubling Cube, Blast Zone, Sensei's Divining Top, and Soul Ring. Trevor wins the die roll and starts us off. Trevor draws and plays a tap Savage Lands. I play a Snow-Covered Mountain. Harry plays a Swamp for turn. Frank plays a Blast Zone, which comes in with 1 counter on it. He casts a Soul Ring, and then taps the ring for Sensei's Top, using the other floating mana to activate it while he passes. Trevor plays a tapped Overgrown Tomb. I play a Snow-Covered Mountain for turn, and then pay 2 mana for Impact Tremors. Harry plays a Swamp for turn, and casts Sign in Blood. He loses 2, and draws 2 cards. He then passes, discarding down to 7, and we see the Slaughter Pact go to his graveyard. Frank plays Tower of the Magistrate, and casts a foily Felwar Stone. He's then able to tap enough mana to cast a Doubling Cube, and passes to Trevor. Trevor plays a Swamp, and casts Farseek, while Frank talks about all the chicken tendies he plans on eating after this game. I play tap Valakut for turn, and tap 2 mana for Krenko's Command. I get 2 tokens, who come in, and each trigger the Tremors, which has my opponents taking a total of 2. Harry plays a Castle Locthwain as his land for turn, and passes to Frank. At the end of turn, Frank activates his top. Frank plays a Darksteel Citadel, and makes 6 mana for a Dreamstone Hedron, the bigger brother of channel favorite Hedron Archive. Trevor plays the land half of Balaged Recovery, a Balaged Sanctuary, and just passes to me. I draw, playing another Snow-Covered Mountain. 4 mana gets me a Goblin Trashmaster who's got his eyes set on Frank's side of the board. I then go to combat, hitting Frank for 2 with the tokens, and pass to Harry. Harry plays a Reliquary Tower, and just passes. At the end of turn, I use my Trashmaster to sacrifice 2 tokens and blow up Frank's Dreamstone Hedron and Doubling Cube. Responding to this, Frank activates his top, and then says goodbye to the artifacts. Frank draws for turn, and plays a Dust Bowl. He casts a Palladium Mirror for his turn, and passes to Trevor. At the end of turn, Trevor casts Valakut's Awakening. He decides to bottom his whole hand of 5 cards, and then gets to draw a fresh 6. Trevor casts Harmonize in his main phase, drawing some cards. He plays a tap Spinerock Knoll, hiding away a card from his top 4, and then bottoms the rest, and passes to me. I play a tap Myriad Landscape, and then bring out Krenko. With Krenko entering, it deals 1 to each of my opponents thanks to the Impact Tremors, and I then head to combat. Trevor takes 3 from the Trashmaster, and I pass to Harry. Harry draws and casts a Mind Stone, passing. At the end of turn, Frank tops and puts another counter onto his Blast Zone. Frank untaps and draws. He plays a Reliquary Tower, and is able to tap enough mana to cast Kozilek the Great Distortion. He has only 1 card in hand, so Kozilek's on-cast trigger lets him draw 6, so he'll hit 7 cards in hand. Frank then passes. At the end of turn, Harry pays for the mana cost of Force of Despair. Frank sadly can't discard a card that costs 3 to counter it, and Kozilek gets destroyed and goes back to the command zone. Trevor draws and plays a Lava Claw Reaches, which comes into play tapped. He then casts a Sakura Tribe Elder, passing to me. I draw and play a Snow-Covered Mountain. I play a Goblin Piledriver and a Goblin Welder in my main phase, which the two coming in trigger my Impact Tremors to deal 2 more damage to my opponents. Heading to combat, the Trashmaster heads at Harry for 3, and I pass. Harry plays a Swamp for turn and taps 5 for the Gilded Lotus. He then pays 3 more for a Sudden Death to take out Krenko in his main phase, and with the split second on the spell, I can't respond to activate Krenko, and Krenko sadly dies. Harry then passes, and I sacrifice at the end of turn my Myriad Landscape. Sadly, I miss my Valakut triggers seeing the lands come into play, which I would have most likely targeted Harry with in Retribution. Frank plays a Scavenger Grounds for turn and taps enough mana to cast Ulamog the Infinite Gyre. With the on-cast trigger, he targets my Trashmaster. Responding to this, I sacrifice the Piledriver to take out the Gilded Lotus, the Welder to take out Frank's Soul Ring, and the Trashmaster itself to take out the Palladium Mirror. The Eldrazi then enters, and Frank passes. Trevor untaps and draws. He plays a Rites of Flourishing, and then plays a Smoldering Marsh and then a Bloodstained Mire. He taps enough for a Goblin Friend, and we see Vial Smasher hitting the field, and he passes to me. I draw 2, and cast Cheering Fanatic, dealing 1 to my opponents. I then play out Mogg War Marshal, which comes in with a Token Goblin, and deals a total of 2 to my opponents thanks to the Tremor triggers. I then pass turn, keeping my stuff back for the Annihilator trigger and blocks if Frank attacks me. Harry draws his 2 and wishes he still had his Gilded Lotus. He casts a very sad Yawgmoth's Will, and then casts Sign in Blood again from his graveyard. He loses 2 more life, and draws 2 more cards, none of which are lands, and he passes to Frank. Frank draws his 2 cards thanks to the Rites of Flourishing, and plays a Wastes and a Homeward Path as his lands for turn. 5 mana gets him a Forsaken Monument, and he taps the Homeward Path for 2 colorless. This lets him cast a Thought Vessel, and he gains 2 life. He then casts Lightning Greaves, gaining 2, and equips him onto Ulamog. Frank then pays 4 mana and casts a Worn Power Stone, gaining 2 more life. He's concerned with not being mean, and decides to roll the dice to see who Ulamog is attacking instead of deciding himself. The dice decide Harry is going to get it, and he takes 12 and loses 5 permanents, which, after asking the table if it's okay, has Harry scooping from the game. He unfortunately hasn't drawn a land since turn 3, and even last turn after drawing 4 cards, still didn't find one. He feels like he's effectively out of the game, and we then pass to Trevor. At the end of turn, Trevor uses Spinerock Knoll, paying the red since Harry took 12, to cast Assassin's Trophy, which he'd hidden away. He blows up Frank's Monument because double mana is bad, and Frank goes to find a basic Wastes. Trevor then rolls for Vial Smasher, and Frank takes 2 from the spell. Trevor plays his lands for turn, taking 2 from his Stomping Grounds so it'll come in untapped. He then activates the Lava Claw Reaches and goes to combat. He pumps it by a lot, and swings a land and Vial Smasher at Frank, who, after getting hit, drops to 19. On my upkeep, I don't pay the Echo cost, letting the Mogg War Marshal die and getting a token. With the token entering, it deals 1 to my opponents with the Impact Tremors. I then draw my 2 and play a Buried Ruin. I then recast Krenko, which deals 1 as it enters, and then cast a Kick Goblin Bushwhacker, which pumps my board by +1/+0 and gives everything haste. I also get a trigger from Impact Tremors from the Bushwhacker as well, dealing 1 more. Moving to combat, I hit Frank for 9 with what I can. I then move to my second main phase and tap Krenko, making 5 more Goblin tokens, and dealing 5 more damage from Impact Tremors to my opponents. I then pass to Frank. Frank untaps and wishes he had his mana doubler still, like most people would. He plays Makokoro as his land for turn, but doesn't have a second land for turn. He then casts an Golem's Eye in his main phase, and activates the Blast Zone to blow up all 3 drops on the field. He still has enough after that to drop a Platinum Empyrean, and then goes to combat. He swings Ulamog at Trevor, and Trevor sacrifices the permanents he needs to the Annihilator trigger and then takes the hit for 10. With nothing else, Frank passes. Trevor draws and asks if there's any way I can take Frank out if the Platinum Empyrean isn't there. I say maybe if I draw enough creatures or something, or maybe token generators, and Trevor puts to stack a Decree of Pain. It wipes the board, and Trevor draws a ton of cards. He then plays a command tower before casting a Vandal Blast to blow up Frank's Lightning Greaves. Trevor then passes, discarding down to 7. I get lucky and draw a Snow-Covered Mountain, playing it for turn, and dealing 3 to Frank with the Valakut trigger to take him out. I then tap out for Krenko, who comes in and deals 1 to Trevor with the Impact Tremors. I pass turn, with Frank thanking me for taking him out so he can go make his chicken tenders. Trevor draws and plays a Woodland Cemetery for turn. He taps enough for a Mana Geyser and gets him 8 red mana for my tap lands. He uses 4 of it for a Primal Amulet, and then taps 2 green to pay for Seasons Past. He gets a counter on the Amulet, and then returns Mana Geyser, Assassin's Trophy, Valakut's Awakening, Decree of Pain, a Mountain, Harmonize, and Vandal Blast. And then puts the Seasons Past on the bottom of his library. He then recasts his Valakut's Awakening, adding another counter to the amulet. He puts 5 cards from his hand on the bottom of his library, and draws 6 new ones off the top. Trevor then casts Soul Ring, and taps 1 black, and exiles away some cards to cast Murderous Cut on Krenko. He then passes, discarding down to 7. My turn has me drawing and then casting Heraldic Banner, picking red as it enters. I then cast Illusionist Bracers, and pass. Trevor untaps and draws. He plays a Dragon Soul Summit, and then a Vial Smasher, followed by Ikra Shadik, and passes back to me. I drop a Cavern of the Souls, naming Goblins as it enters, and tap out entirely for Krenko. It enters and deals 1 to Trevor with Impact Tremors. At the end of my turn, Trevor casts Pyroblast and picks the second mode of destroying target permanent if it's blue. Krenko is obviously not blue, but at least Trevor's able to target it with the spell and gets to put a final counter on his amulet, transforming it into Primal Wellspring. He then casts Assassin's Trophy, getting a copy of it thanks to the Primal Wellspring, and he layers it to destroy Krenko second, and first blows up my Valakut. I go and find 2 basics, and pass turn while searching. Trevor draws for turn, and casts an Eternal Witness to return Valakut's Awakening again. He then recasts the Mana Geyser, gaining 10 red mana from my tapped lands. He then recasts the Valakut Awakening, and with it on the stack, casts Dualcaster Mage to make another copy of it. He bottoms 4 cards and draws that many +1, and then before resolving the original copy, casts Fork to make another copy. He resolves that copy, and then the extra copy, and once all that drawing is done, he then puts to stack a Root Awakening using his Primal Wellspring. I can sense the end is nearing at this point. He shows me a Demonic Tutor in hand, and knowing how well his Vial Smasher and Ikra deck can work at this point, I know he's about to win the game, and I concede the game to him. Game review time. So I feel pretty bad for Harry in this one. He kept a bit of a slow hand, and despite the fact that he drew so many cards this game, really didn't get any lands beyond the couple that he had in the beginning. That, coupled by the fact that he pretty much got most of his lands taken out by Annihilator, really didn't make for a fun game for him. I know a lot of people said that he probably shouldn't have scooped, but let's face it, when you're stuck on 2 lands when all of your opponents have mana rocks and lands of their own, you're really not going to be doing much for this game. Frank really burst out of the gates with his Kozilek deck in this game, and between the mana rocks and using the Sensei's Divining Top to smooth out his draws, he was in a strong commanding position for most of it. It took both Trevor and I really to basically take him out, and I think had he had a counter for the Force of Despair, the game could have gone very differently. I was incredibly surprised to see Impact Tremors sticking around for as long as it did this game, but I guess it's probably because everyone was using their artifact and enchantment removal on Frank's stuff. I felt like I had a pretty good chance of winning this game, but unfortunately, in order to deal with Frank, we had to wipe the board, and Decree of Pain drew Trevor into a ton of answers. And once he drew all those cards, I knew my chances of winning were getting fast out of hand. His Vial Smasher and Ikra deck certainly has a reputation for winning, and today's game once more reinforces why it does. It's a very intricate and fun way to win, but at the same time isn't just some simple 2-card combo that can't be stopped. I love seeing in action, I love Jund, and it's got a goblin to boot, so I really can't be mad. Please be sure to tune in every Monday and Thursday at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time for a guaranteed new video. You can also follow me on Twitter at MTGMudsta. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/mtgmudsta. And lastly, you can check me out when I stream at twitch.tv/mtgmudsta. This video is brought to you in support by my patrons. If you're looking for a way to help out the channel, please be sure to visit the link below. Thank you all for watching this video, and don't forget, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.